a blessed holy month of Ramadan.
And welcome again to Discovering Truth, and I am Pastor Forbes from Abiding Word Ministries. Tonight I just want to discuss a one-part subject. Just remembering that last week we looked at something very critical and important in our lives as to the fact that the seed that we are given in life, as per our giftings, our educations, our talent, and everything that we get, can always be easily overlooked because it's small, sometimes it's intangible, but when the fruit shows, it shows mighty. And we saw in the scriptures how there was a parable of servants who were given very little seeds, if you like, minas, but then when they were faithful, they were given great things. I want to discuss something that touches on questions that I get asked a lot. I am, by my numerous travels and in quite a number of places that I get to, I meet all kinds of people, but most especially when it's Gambians, my own fellow country people, people ask me, how come you have been doing this for such a long time? I meet people in all kinds of countries, in all the continents, and it's like, is your program still on? I used to watch you when I was a young boy. I used to watch you when I was a young girl. That's true because the program is about 17 years old. So anybody who was watching us when they were 4, 5, 6 are probably in their 21, 22, and 23rd year. And that some are even graduates now. Some are medical doctors, some are people with MBs and all that. And just before I came into the studio for this program, somebody made mention of the fact that he has been doing what he has been doing for 17 years. And he's doing it because he takes inspiration from 2 people, and one of them, he said, was Pastor Forbes. There are numerous answers I can give to the question of how come and why and where does the energy come and all that, because I'm quite frankly doing this for 17 years, amongst many other things that are obligations in my life, sit on different things. But one most important thing for me, which I want to use as my subject for tonight, is the word foundation. Is the word foundation. So I'm going to read a portion of scriptures from the Bible where Jesus Christ spoke a parable that had to do with foundations, and from there I'll discuss in a brief time some thoughts about our foundations. There is a popular teaching series of the Lord Jesus Christ called the Sermon on the Mount. History has it that it went on for 3 days. He was just teaching and speaking to the people over a 3-day period. And when he ended, this is what he ended with. So we're looking at the first gospel in the New Testament of the Bible. That's the gospel according to Matthew. Matthew was one of the many people who were around when Jesus Christ was speaking. And Jesus Christ is being quoted by Matthew in chapter 7 of his book, and from verse 24 down to 29. It says, and I quote, "Therefore, whoever hears these sayings of mine and does them," not just hearing them, but does them, "I will liken him unto a wise person who built his house on the rock. And the rain descended, the floods came, the winds blew and beat upon that house, but it did not fall because it was founded on the rock." Its foundation was a rocky foundation. Verse 26, Jesus Christ continues, "But everyone who hears these sayings of mine, these teachings, these precepts, these principles, everyone who hears my doctrine and does not do them will be like a foolish person who built his house also, but he built his house on the sand. And the rain descended, the floods came, the winds blew, and they beat upon the house, and it fell, and great was its fall. And so it was when Jesus Christ had ended these sayings that the people were astonished at this type of teaching, for he taught them as one having authority, somebody knowing what he's talking about, somebody who is a guru, a master in his field. And he did not teach them as one of their scribes whom they had listened to. So what are the core issues here? One, Jesus Christ is likening humanity, people, you that's listening to me tonight, myself that's speaking. He is likening us to two kinds of people. And it's almost as if he is saying that in human society, in the global family, we are going to be divided into two kinds of people. I often say that success is predictable as failure is predictable. People do not stumble into success. If they stumble into success or prosperity for that matter, they will lose it. You do not stumble into failure. You can see somebody's life, you can look at the most dominant principle, practice, and thought in their life. If you give somebody $1,000 8 o'clock a.m. and you ask him to give you an account of what he used that $1,000 by 8 o'clock p.m., the account can tell you where his life is headed. If he pays all his debts, then maybe he's conscious of canceling his debts before he rejoices. If he goes to buy PS2 games, then it tells you where he's going to. If she runs to buy extra high eyelashes and Brazilian hair, it tells you where she's going to. If they go to the library, it tells you where they're going to. If they just go and buy shawarma upon shawarma upon shawarma and buy for their friends, it tells you where they're going to. So the destination of our human life in terms of our economic abilities and what we can do and what we can become influential in is a function of our foundation. And foundations come not just by hearing. The difference between these two groups of people, one being called wise and the other being called foolish, is not because their facial expressions are excitable and the other one is dull. It's not because one is an extrovert and the other one is a recluse or an introvert. No, the difference is that even though, whereas they both hear the same word, the same time, the same teaching, the same lectures, the same notes, the same TV program, the difference between them, which has a direct impact on the future of their lives, is that one listened and applied what they did. Sometimes it's an academic application, but more often than not, it's a life application. It's an action point. After you've listened to everything, sometimes you go to a workshop and people say, well, can somebody just summarize for us what we heard so we can be sure we are all on the same page, so we know that we all heard what the facilitator or the resource person spoke about. And from there, at the end of what the rapporteur does, more often than not, there are supposed to be what we call action points. This we must do by Friday morning. These things we must do before Monday morning. And there are people who will do them, and there are people who, when the rapporteur is speaking, they may be doing other things. So the difference between these two people, after Jesus Christ has spoken for 3 days teaching them, basically he's saying that, folks, I have taught you, I've spent my time, imparted my spirit into you, my intelligence into you, my knowledge. I'm bringing godliness your way. I am informing you. I am teaching you. I am empowering you. But that is as far as I go. And while I'm doing it, you may have all heard me. But the difference between you will be seen in those who heard and applied. And therefore, the proof that they heard is their application. So he says, the people who hear the sayings of mine and do them, Doing is a verb, it's a practical action thing. You do. There is a verse in the Bible, in the book of James, towards the end of the Bible, one of the many disciples of Jesus Christ, his name was James. This is what he says. He says, faith that is not accompanied by corresponding actions, or faith without works, is dead. The only way you can know that I have faith is by my actions. If I say I have faith and I'm shouting and crying and ask everybody to forgive me, to speak on my behalf, to write a note to the board, let my uncle talk to somebody, then I have no faith. What I have is people connection. But if I have faith, I know that beyond people that there is God who doesn't sleep, who sees, who knows the hearts of man, who know even our thoughts before we think them, who can orchestrate things and change things. Then the way I carry out what I believe will be seen. So if people say, don't worry, I know things are tough, I said, I know they're tough, but it's all right. I'm going to stand firm. I'll pull through. It's just for a moment. Sometimes I hear that phrase a lot in Nigeria. The downfall of a man or a woman is not the end of his life. Delaying does not mean denial. You know, people have all these pet phrases. You can tell by their action that they have faith. If somebody says they have faith and they are going around asking people, begging them all the time, they don't have faith. So Jesus Christ is saying that if you believe the words that you hear, then you act on them, and you will be like somebody who was building his house and he built it upon a rock. He says, now if you hear the words that I say and you do not do them, so there is no proof that the words have been internalized in your being, in your core, in your spirit, then you would also be like somebody who built a house. And here are interesting things. So here is house A, here is house B. Paint them both, paint them nice. Paint them enduit, paint them nice. Cover all the cracks. Put a 42-inch TV there. Put Brazilian rock there. Put a split air conditioning system there. Put surround system. What else do you want to put? Put a fan. Solarize it. Put a deep freezer there. Put a 6-burner cooker there. What else do you want? Air condition the bedrooms. What else do you want to put? Oh, I forgot. Put wireless internet and all that. Both houses would look alike. And you can look at one house and say, I love that house. If I have money, I like to buy that house. The problem here is that that house is not going to stand the test of time. Why? Not because of the TV, not because of the wireless system, not because of the split air conditioning system, not because of the hooded kitchen, not because of the Brazilian or Persian rugs, not because of the wonderful porcelain and china and the 42-inch screen. No. The problem here is the foundation. It's a foundation. And so Jesus Christ says, these two men in his parable is that they both built houses. But three things happened to the house. One, the rains came. Two, the floods came. The rains come from the top. The floods come from the bottom. And thirdly, the winds blew against each house and beat the house. Like what happens when the rains are coming. Same conditions. So same teaching, same people, same classroom, same textbook, same tutorial. You are sent to the same library. Somebody internalizes, somebody practices, somebody goes for studies. He is like somebody who is building his roots deeper. Because ladies and gentlemen, and my young boys and girls, friends, you know, you cannot tell the issues of life how they happen. Sometimes In my experience, when trouble comes, they seem to come in twins. While this is happening, that is happening. This is happening, that is happening. And sometimes you wish that the kinds of issues that happen in life that challenge your very core would have come with a notice. They tell you that I'm coming next Monday morning, so get ready. But they don't tell you. They just surprise you. The rains come. Sometimes the sun is shining and the rains are falling. Sometimes the meteorology department tells you, we don't know what happened. This was not expected. Sometimes you are flying in the air and then suddenly they fasten your seatbelts come and they say, ladies and gentlemen, the captain wants you to know that there is some turbulence coming unexpected. And when you go through it, you thank God that you are still alive. So the issues of life do not come in a linear way that we are coming on Monday afternoon at 4 o'clock, so brace yourself. Sometimes they show up. You wake up in the morning and you can't even tell that it rained. And sometimes you wake up, especially when those Sahara dust storms come, occasionally you wake up in the morning, your whole house is covered in dust. And you wish that the dust gave you notice. So you lock all your windows because you spend the whole day and a half dusting and dusting. And the thing is that you are dusting, everybody else is dusting. And sometimes that dust takes 2, 3, 4 days to lift up. The issues of life, the challenges of life do not always come in a linear form. But the joy is that if our lives are founded on serious principles, serious foundations, irrespective of where the trials come, irrespective of when the problems come, there is something in you that tells you you are built to last. You will go through it. You will come out. You will keep going on. And that is what life ought to be like. Jesus Christ says, if you listen to what I say and you take it and you practice it and it becomes your personal reality, you just don't quote it as a quote, you just don't write it on your book, you just don't make a sticker of it. It's not the starting page of your laptop. It's an internal reality. Your principles of truth, of righteousness, of honesty, of how you treat people, of your financial integrity, your morality, your gratitude to people, your ability to say thank you, the fact that you can say I am sorry, the fact that you can celebrate people when they are better than you and not try to bring them down, the fact that you are humble enough to know that you are not the best thing that happened to planet Earth, that however good you are, somebody is better than you. However good I think I am, there are greater people than I am, far greater. So those are foundations. You see somebody doing something good, you want to draw near and ask them, how do you do this thing? What are the principles? You know, you don't rubbish it and say, well, I can do better. That is building on sand. Because if you're not able to appreciate something, you cannot benefit from it. It is a principle in life that whatever you disdain, you cannot be blessed by it. Whatever you do not appreciate cannot bless you. And it's also another principle, by the way, that what you sow is what you will reap. And we all know that when we sow seeds, they are so tiny. But when we reap the fruit, man, it's big. And so, we must live our lives in such a way that our foundations are solid. Now, let me address the tricky thing about foundations. Any of us involved in building projects will tell you, even if it's not a physical structure, let's say you are starting a business, you want to open a school, you are starting a company, you always go through a foundation stage, you conceptualize. Maybe you lie on your bed for hours, you are thinking, or you download things from the internet, you look at other people who have done that, you start getting feasibility studies, information, demographic studies, you look at so many things. That is all part of foundation, because from it all, you now bring forth the uniqueness of what you are and who you are, that no matter how people try to copy it, they cannot be you, because your thought process is there. The things that make you who you are different because you are uniquely made by God. But coming to the physical structure, I remember when we were building our church in Abiding Word Ministries, I cannot tell you, at least I know our foundation then, 2001, the cost of the foundation, I'm not talking about materials, the labor cost then, I can remember, was $140,000 to pay contractor's fee for that huge structure. And I know now That anytime we want to do some design work and people come and they want to drill, they always break their drill, they burn their drill machine, and people get upset with me and they say, Pastor, you put too much concrete here. And I tell them that's because when I go to bed at night, I want to sleep peacefully. Because the thing about foundations is that when you are doing it, because people tend not to see it, sometimes you are cheated in thinking you can use anything because it's going to be covered. So if I tell you that a foundation costs $0.14 million then 2001, it's about 10,000 to 12,000 US dollars. You will say, and if you belong to an organization like those of us who do those kinds of organizations, you may have people who think that no, they've chopped the money. What, why is the money? You tell them it's under the ground. What do you mean by it's under the ground? Yes, it's under the ground. But that is what gives it the structure you see. Because, ladies and gentlemen, the strength, the longevity, the tenacity of a structure is not in its superstructure nature. It's not in the aesthetic beauty of it. It's in the strength and the dependability of its foundation. And so, like anything else, you must put quality and time and much resources into foundation. Whenever Usain Bolt is running, or the Jamaican team, Powell, Asafo Powell, Bolt, and the rest of them, let's take Bolt for example. The 100-meter dash is 100 meters. His record is 9.58 seconds. By the time I get up from this chair, pick my stuff, and get to the door, he's done it. But I'm sure you know that he puts hours of practice, hours of muscle toning, hours of starting on the block, hours of mental concentration just for 9.8 seconds. It looks like a waste of time. It looks like a waste of time. When they do the 4x100, it's 36 point something seconds. But you're practicing changing the baton. Let it not fall. You are practicing, you are practicing, you are practicing. You are practicing when the weather is good. You are practicing when it's raining, when it's hot, when it's cold, indoor, outdoor. You are ready for whatever conditions come. And then when the real thing comes, in 37 seconds, it's over. It's your make or your break time. What makes it is that your foundation was strong. You are able to run whether people are jeering at you, say go, or whether people are mocking at you. It doesn't matter. You go through it. Foundations. And so Jesus Christ is saying that our lives, if we are going to last 17 years, 20 years of doing a project, and not just one generation, it was done in your father's time and it could not get into the second generation. If we're going to last and still be fresh and still look like we just started yesterday and even look better than when we started, it means that we should have given time, energy, effort, quality resources to our foundation. So to you, my young ones, you've done checkpoint, you've done grade 12, you do IGCSE, Cambridge, you're about finishing from college, whatever you're doing, foundations. Because you don't get to go to primary school again. You don't get to go to secondary school again. The assumption of primary 2 is that you did primary 1. The assumption of A levels is that you did O levels. The assumption of a master's degree is that you did a bachelor, or at least you did a professional course. And the assumptions are made. So you're told that for you to do this course, and this course is required. They are core. And sometimes you need an elective here. You need that. They all come together and synergize to help you become what you are. And in it all, the end point is that you are bequeathed with critical thinking. You are told how to write a term paper. You can write a project proposal. You know what to do. You can do a matrix. You can do, and then you jump into the world. And 8, 5, 10 years later, you own your own company. You are able to do it. Why? Because your foundations were deep. So wherever foundations are being dug, don't run away. Maybe you didn't do well in school and you're told, take that paper again in September. Oh, you can't take it, it doesn't matter. Take it again in September, my friend. It's foundational. I always give this example because it always reminds me so picturesque of somebody I was trying to get a job for in one of the financial institutions in this country. And, you know, maybe because of who I am and, you know, everything was okay. In fact, I was told, Pastor, you don't need to bring this person. The job is theirs. Just make sure you bring us your CV with your O levels. And I vividly remember the person's face dropping. It was so telling that I had to ask, why has your face changed? You don't have O levels? And the person said no. And that's where the job offer ended. Walked into the car, person was depressed. You could see tears welling up because it's like, I should have gotten this at 15, 16. I am now 34, 35. The truth about it is that it's not too late. One of the joys of our today is that there are online courses, there are remedial courses, there are pre-university institutions. You can go back because, my friend, it's foundational. There's nothing like foundations. Somebody say, oh, how come this person speaks so well? How come this person is a good speech writer? It's all foundational. When your foundations are in order, you get inspired by other people. So you see somebody, he does something and he's paid $16,000 to do it. You don't get upset and he's a bourgeois. There's nothing like that. It's foundational. Because people are not, excuse my language, people are not just drunk to pay somebody 16,000. They are putting in 16,000 worth. They're doing something. And if you doubt, by the time you quantify all that they have done, it's more than 16,000. By the time Nelson Mandela gives a speech, Bill Clinton gives a speech, Ben Carson gives a speech, you hear a speech from the Dalai Lama, Desmond Tutu. I mean, they go home with $100,000. You say, what did they say? Isn't it alphabet A to Z, 26 letters? Yes, but from that 26 letters, maybe your vocabulary is 6,000 words. Maybe their vocabulary is 45,000 words. You can make 200 words with letter A. They are making 2,000 words. Are they special? No. They invested in their foundation. As I end tonight, I don't know how else to say it. Jesus Christ said it. What house are you building? Is it on a rock or on a sand? If it's on a sand, my friend, no matter how high it goes, it will collapse. And you will lose everything. But if it is on a rock, no matter what hits it, rain, storm, or floods, you will still be there. And until I come your way next week, by God's grace, this is Pastor Forbes saying, have a good evening. God bless us all. Good night. Build your foundation stronger. Dig deeper. It will pay you and pay your generations to come. Have a good evening.